Hello everybody, I'm here with Emily. My name is Annemieke York, and we're here at Calico, and we're going to start the, I don't know which box it is. It is the spring box, right? Spring
Yes.
mixing box, yes, perfect. So we're doing the different 9 blocks. So this is our first block we're going to be doing. In your box, you should have had information on which block was what and what fabric was what. And so I've already pre-cut everything. If you look on page 25 of your block, that's the one we're going to be doing. It's called the Arkansas Snowflake. And we're going to be doing different parts of it, and then we'll put it all together. So we are using our Bloc Loc rulers that we have. And you have a Bloc Loc Ruler A and a Bloc Loc Ruler B. And you need to make sure that you can read them. You want to use them as you read them. And it'll make a difference down the road. They need to be locked into your fabric, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do the A blocks. So you're going to take your fabric, and I have 2 pieces loaded up here. And what's nice about the fabric we're using is there's no right or wrong side. So you don't have to worry with these blocks this time a right or wrong side. So we're just going to take these. We're going to take our cutter. And in the book, it shows you which angle you want your A's to be, and your A's are going to go from right to left, okay?
So bottom right to upper left corner.
Right. And you're going to have one A that is the light peach with the light color, and then the other A is the darker peach to the light color. Okay, so now we're going to do those. These are our A blocks, okay? So we're going to take these, and we're going to stitch them. I'll think about this for a minute here. So I want this to be here. Sorry. So this is going to be your, if you look at it visually on your block, so this is going to be the inside. So you want this to be on the outside. So you're going to put this together, and you're going to overlap them by 1/4 of an inch. And you're going to stitch all of these 1/4 of an inch, and these will be your A blocks, like this. And I lay them out so I can visually see what I'm doing. So if you look at the book, you'll see that this is on the inside, and this is going to be your outside, your background color. And like I said, it's nice because these fabrics don't have a right or wrong side, so we're not worrying too much which way we have our right or wrong. So, all right, so now we're going to just stitch these 1/4 of an inch. Take my shoe off. It's very important. And you're just going to stitch it like you normally would, two on your, and I go ahead and do one after the other.
So regular stitch length, 1/4 of an inch seam.
Yep, 1/4 inch seam. And it's you'll find you don't have to be a perfect 1/4 inch at the top here overlapping, because we're going to trim all of these.
Oh, for those points.
Yeah, we're going to trim all of these down. And that's what you're going to be doing with your block ruler here. Okay. All right, so I've done all of those. Those are all my A's. So now what you're going to do is, and in this in the instructions, it tells you which way to iron everything. So we're going to iron our seam going towards the color, okay? And that's important with these rulers because you're going to use them to lock into your into that seam. So we're going to iron them all that way. All right. So now we're going to take our ruler, our A, and we're going to run it And we're gonna, and it tells you in here, I'm doing the 9-inch, the 9-inch square block, okay? There's a 6, a 9, a 12, and a 15. I'm doing all 9-inch for my sampler quilt. So you're going to, it tells you you want to trim it 2 by 3.5. So what you're going to do here is you're going to lock your ruler in, so I can't push it any further over, okay? I'm going to make sure I can do my 3.5 and I can do my 2. So if you roll it down a little bit, see, I get a little better straight angle here, okay? So you're just going to take that. You're going to make sure you're pushing against that seam, and you're going to trim this to 3.5, okay? Then what you do, if you have a rotating mat, you slide your ruler down. Come on, slide. Slide it down, so then it is at 2, and then you're going to trim your 3.5. So I have it 3.5 here and 2 here, okay? So that's the ruler doing all the work for you. Okay, so now I have a perfect block. So now we're going to do that on all of them.
Okay, I'm going to come in nice and close for the next one.
Okay, you want to lock this in so it locks in there so it's not moving anywhere. Make sure you can do your 3.5, and I don't have my 2, so I'm going to slide it slightly up so I can get my 2 in there, okay? It's locked against this seam, okay, and you're just going to trim it like that, and then you're going to slide it.
Oh, so that it lines up on this end.
On this end.
Ah, okay.
2 and 3.5. And then you can just rotate your mat and trim it. And then you have another perfect one. Okay? So we're going to do that with all our A's. And you need to do it right side up, like I said. So it's important with this one that you do it where you can visually see it. And then slide this up. So I have 3.5 and 2. Oops, helps if you can cut. All right, and there's my last A. And these rulers lock in, so it doesn't move when I try and push on it, because it's locked into that seam, and that's why you want to have it ironed a certain way, so that it locks in and you get the right shape. All right, and this one is a little too long here. Okay. So you have perfectly cut 2 by 3.5 inch pieces now. Okay? Now we have to do the same thing with our B's. So the B's are going to be done, they're going to be cut at a different angle. Okay? Remember we started at the bottom right, went to top left. We're going to do these bottom left to top right. Okay? All right, and now I'm going to lay them out how I want to stitch them. Okay. And the fabric in this is nice because it's Kona, and then it's also some of the Essex linen, which is kind of fun to add a little bit of texture to your quilt. And I lay them all out how I want to stitch them so I don't do it wrong. And something's beeping.
That's the battery on the on the computer.
Okay. All right. So you're going to lay these all out. I'm going to stitch them the same way as we did the other ones. All right. This goes there. All right. So same process we did earlier. And I go ahead and stitch back and forth. It really doesn't matter because you're going to be trimming it off anyhow. It's just a die-hard habit I have. And don't worry too much if they overlap, remember, because we had, you have a little extra. I mean, don't get crazy on it, but you have a little extra to play with, so you know you're going to be trimming it off. You have a nice amount to trim down. So I just tend to eyeball it. And here's your last one. All right, and so on this book, actually, it tells you on the bees to iron it up, and you don't want to do that. You really need to iron them down. I'm not sure why it has you do that, because your Bloc Loc ruler is not going to work that way.
So when you say iron
your
up or
seams
down
again,
towards...
you want to iron it to your color.
The colors, okay.
Iron it to your peach, yes. And I am a messy sewist. That's all I have to say. Okay, so you're going to want to iron them down, because again, these rulers work where you have to lock in the ruler into that seam, and if you iron the seam up, it's not going to lock correctly. You're not going to get the right size. Learned that the hard way, which is why I know there's a mistake. All right. So you're going to iron them all that way, and then we're going to cut them like we did the A's. So these are our A's. Now we're going to do our B's. So now you want to find your B Bloc Loc ruler, and again you want to make sure that your B is up and you can read it. So we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to lock this in. I say we're going to lock it in. And all right, Houston, we have a problem. Let's do this the other way. All right, you're going to lock that in. So, again, 2, 3.5. We're going to slide this and get 3.5. And, all right, so there's your bees. All right. And I got this one down too far. Doesn't help, I have this little chink right there. Okay. Are we good? Let's see here. Don't know where I am right now. All right, there we are. There we go. I'll get there eventually. All right, this one's going to be a little tight. My 2 is off. All right. All right. And that one really is off. Don't know what I did wrong. Oh no. Okay, let's get this right. So. I'm doing something wrong, people. It needs to go that way. There we go. There we go. All right, and then this one will slide up. Yep. So there's that one. This one is cut wrong. And one is, there we go. And then slide this one down to your 2 and 3.5. Okay. All right. So now those are your B's. These are your A's. Then we need to make this quarter square triangle. So now, alrighty, so now we're going to do the center piece of our block. So we have our 2 big pieces that we have here. They're 4.5 inch squares. We're going to draw a line down at a diagonal. All right, and we're going to sew on each side of that diagonal, 1/4 inch. Okay. All right, so we've done that. So now we're going to cut that in half on the line that we drew. All right. And now we're going to iron. Let's see if this is going to work. So we're going to iron this one this way. And let's see here. What do I want to do? Light side. All right. So now we're going to take our piece here and draw a line on it. Alright. And if I put this one with this one, it'll work this time. Alright, so you do want to iron them both in the same direction, so silly me. So iron them both to the dark side. Alright. Alright. So then you will put these two together. So you have a dark and a light, and you kind of push your seams together, and that's why you have them go in opposite directions. You can put a pin in there if you want. And then you're going to sew 1/4 inch on each side, making sure they're meeting up here at the seam. All right. And you should, if it came out right, you cut those apart on the line again you drew, and you're not going to use both of these, you're only going to use one of them. If you open it up, you should have a nice center. Okay? So you're going to just take that and iron it. I ended up ironing these open, so I have my little stick here, and I went ahead and ironed these open. And then you're going to cut this one down to the size you need. Again, and I'm doing the 9-inch block, so if you're going to do a different size, you're going to cut it a different size, and that's with everything that we're doing today. So this one says to trim down to 3.5 inches. So you're just going to take your regular ruler, and trim it down to 3.5. So take your ruler and find one that has a diagonal on it, and then you can do your 3.5. So you're going to line up. If you see here, I've got this here to here. It's 3.5.
And you want a 45-degree diagonal.
You want a 45-degree diagonal. So you're running this diagonal here along this line. You want 3.5 at this corner, 3.5 at that corner, and you're going to square this one up to 3.5 inches. Okay, and then you're just going to either turn your thing. And then you're just going to square this up. You're going to have 3.5 and 3.5. And again, it's on the diagonal. Here's your diagonal. Okay? And you're going to square that up. All right. So now what I do is I'm going to lay all these out. Okay? And I tend to do it right here on my little rotating mat. So you want to have here on the top, you're going to have an A and a B. And then you're going to have an A and a B. And A and a B. Turn these over. This is your center. Your center is going to match, so your dark colors go to this. Your light goes to this. And then you've cut out these squares that you're going to put on each corner. Okay? So, the one nice thing about these blocks is that you've cut them out so that you should have nice, perfect points when you put these together. So you're going to just line these up. And I normally start on this end, the pointy end. And you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam. All right. And you'll have these lovely points. Ooh. So again, I'll open this one up. So you do that with all of these. So it's going to go here. So then I'd sew this one to this one, this one to this one. And then I'd sew these two together, this two together, sew it to here. So you're going to sew this all in rows. All right? So I do all these first, then do my rows. So you're going to have 3 rows. And then with those 3 rows, you will then have a finished block that looks like that. And that's your first block.
Very cool.